And we are live. Welcome to another episode of Business Focus Live with me, John, where we talk about business related topics as well as news from here and around the world. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe and let's get started. And we're back. So before I proceed with today's discussion, I just want to say a shout out. Sorry for the technical difficulties I encountered earlier. So you might notice I'm an hour late in the live stream, which I actually started the live stream an hour before, but I encountered technical difficulties, meaning I lost my audio. I did not notice my audio feeds was not okay, and I only found out midstream. So I had to redo the entire discussion again. But hopefully, uh, you're still here with me. Anyway, to start off, so Oculus is a VR brand. So for those who are using it, there's good news and bad news. Now, obviously, you can still use your VR games, and you can look forward to more better VR experiences in the near future. But sad to say, if you're an Oculus owner, uh, you might not be wanting to using your phone, your VR headsets anymore in the future because for those who are not informed, Oculus was bought off or is now currently owned by Facebook, which they bought it I think back in 2014. Yes, I think that's right. Yeah, 2014. And obviously, for those who are familiar with Facebook, with data privacy issues and so forth, so they're requiring now. Oh, there's an emergency coming through. So there's a requirement for Facebook for you to integrate your Oculus account with your Facebook social media account. So if you think that's too good to be true, well, a lot of people are not too glad about it. So let's take a look here. So obviously, with what Facebook is wanting with regards to Oculus creating a unified account, so to speak. Now, obviously, this sounds interesting in terms of concept, so that you can integrate two different platforms into just one social media and gaming experiences. I think other companies has already tried and failed, and there's a reason because integrating your personal profile into your gaming profile are two different things, and a lot of people are not too thrilled about this. Now, obviously, when you hear the word or hear the company Facebook, it's always associated with data privacy issues and, history of user manipulation. So, you have 2 years. That's a good thing about it. So, if you're an Oculus owner, you have until 2 years from now to switch or to integrate your Facebook account. But for those who are planning to buy an Oculus in the future, well, I was thinking about it before, and now I'm even more hesitant to purchase their product. And obviously, there are other alternatives which we'll discuss in a bit. But in terms of the games that they played, right, they have popular games such as I think Beat Saber is one. Another was Half-Life, Alex, and there are many more games that that you can play in VR. Now, obviously, it's not a very big market if you think about it, but in terms of Oculus, the company and the brand, they have millions of users, which is not chump change. So it's very highly profitable. Now, obviously, Facebook is leveraging this, taking advantage of those user base and integrating the data that they can collect from your social media, which is to their detriment. But for us as users, obviously, with the TikTok issue, with Trump, with their trade war with China and so forth, data privacy issue is even more prominent nowadays. Now, obviously, if you're going to use their platform in terms of games, what do you have now? So obviously, either you stop using the game or you stop using their VR or switch to another competitor, which is, you have PlayStation VR is another, and I think HTC Vive is another, which actually in this article I wrote, I saw that competitors are always willing to take advantage if another company is lagging behind. And in the case of what do you call this? In the case of HTC, there was a Twitter feed regarding Oculus announcing what they were planning to change, and obviously people were not too thrilled about it, so they gave their feedback. So let me show you some of them. So sell your Oculus and let's all buy HTC Vive. And guess what HTC did? So they used that opportunity to to market their product. So they gave a reply, "We're here when you're ready." So they provided a link. And I think there was another link. There's another comment here. Yeah. So Kyle mentioned, "Yo, HTC Vive, you up?" And they reply, "Oh, we're up." So meaning, companies are taking advantage of if a company is, not thinking of, or being concerned with, customers' feedback or users' interest here. Anyway, so let's take a look here. So it's not just that. Obviously, users' issue is primary here, but also the developers, you have to consider this. Now, if that were the case, if you're trying to develop a VR game, then if Oculus users cannot, is not willing to implement the change here, so what's the incentive for developers to create more games for Oculus, VR games for Oculus, right? So, at the end of the day, the user suffers, the developer suffers, and even competition, because obviously Oculus is one of the top VR gaming consoles in the market right now, and technically they're not considered cheap. Much more expensive than typical Sony PlayStation or even Xbox console games, and you have other options. You can play PC games as well. So it's a very niche market, but at the end of the day, this is what it is, right? This is what Facebook want to happen with their VR games. Obviously, it's only a small portion with regards to their total company profile. Continuing, so something interesting that I saw, for those of you who are using many devices, from your smartphone to your laptops to your many devices that needs to be powered up with a power brick. Now, obviously, the more devices that you have, you need to bring several charges, especially when you're traveling, going to work, and so forth. It's kind of burdensome. Won't it be nice to have just one power brick to charge them all? Well, I think there is a solution to that one, which leads us to our next topic here. So let's take a look here. So here we have a company, a Kickstarter company that was funded. Original goal was to raise $10,000, and they were able to raise nearly $500,000. And what did they come up? A power brick that has a 200-watt capability that can charge your laptops and devices, and it can simultaneously charge 4 devices at the same time. So it's very interesting. It caught my attention actually when reading this article. So it's an Australian company. Hopefully, the company is able to market their products abroad, particularly here in our country. So it's something that we can take advantage. So let's take a look what the product is all about. So as you can see here, it's primarily a power brick. So it looks similar to a regular power brick. It's not too big, not too clunky, but it looks the same like with your other power bricks. But it has multiple ports, a USB Type-C and a USB Type-A. So you can charge your regular smartphones or all devices, tablets, and laptops and such. Now, what makes this unique is, as mentioned, they call this the Omega Power Brick, right? So it has 2 iterations here. It has a 100-watt power brick, which costs around $50. So that's roughly 2,500 pesos, or the 200-watt, which is around $80, 4,000 bucks. So it's somewhat affordable, comparable to other competing brands such as Anker. So what makes this unique, as mentioned here, is for the 200-watt, it has a 2-port 100-watt USB Type-C. So meaning it can charge your laptop. So typically a 15-inch laptop needs a high wattage to charge your laptop. Otherwise, it would not work with your other power brick. So 65 and up. So actually with I think there was a recent release of a HP, I think, and it requires even a higher wattage, but that's for another case. But for our normal usage, typically people at work, in schools, studying in schools, laptops that you're using typically need at least 60 to 65 watt charging capability, and it's power hungry. And if it's power hungry in a very small compact power brick, The concern here is it would overheat and it could start a fire, which we don't want, right? But the thing that it's unique here is they have this key uh, feature, or what do you call this? They're calling it the a what do you call this? As type of semiconductor, they call it GaN, or gallium nitrate. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, it's this one. So instead of using silicon, they're using a gallium nitride semiconductor technology. So that powers the Omega. So it's very interesting. So let's take a look here. So you can see here, this is what the device looks like inside. So you may notice that inside it has a heat sink of sorts, so it can dissipate heat rather than store it. So that would cause fire, which we don't want, right? And not only that, you can clearly see here on the other side also. So if you're worried, if you're going to purchase this, is it compatible with your other devices, such as your Apple, Samsung, Vivo, and other smartphone brands? Good thing here, it is compatible. So with its quick charge capability, it can combine it combines, or you can utilize it with your other brands here or other smartphones. So what features does it have? So as mentioned here, so take a look here. So for Qualcomm, it has the quick charge 3 capability. So it's compatible. So for Huawei, so it has supercharge. Then we also have Oppo and Vivo, the VOOC, I don't know how do you pronounce, VOOC fast charging. Then you have OnePlus brand that has the dash charge capability. Then on the other hand, you have Apple's fast charging and Samsung's adaptive fast charging. So these are very promising technologies that I think everyone should be able to enjoy. So not only that, so let's take a closer look on the device. So you can see here on the middle and on the left side is the 100-watt power brick. So you can charge USB and 2 USB Type-C and 1 USB Type-A. Then the right side, you can see here is the 200-watt power brick. So you can charge 2 laptops at the same time. So, I'm interested to buy this product. Would you be interested to buy this product if they are able to sell their products here in our market? So I'm looking forward to them selling this product. So it's very enticing, not needing to worry about, do I need to bring more than one power bricks. Continuing, speaking of sports, for the NBA, so for those who are sports aficionados, now with the pandemic that's going on, we've been cooped up, locked up for several months, staying at home, looking for a source of entertainment. When you open your TV, no sports activities was available for us. Obviously, every sports league had to shut down, from the NBA to, I think the baseball was still not yet open. And I think football, I forgot. So when they were, months into the pandemic, when they were planning to reopen, especially the NBA, when they did open last month, which is, good news for everyone. Everyone's excited to see, will there be a champion for this season, right? And they instituted the concept of, creating a bubble, so to speak, to not just protect the players, but as well protect everyone's interest here, so that, which were they were able to do that, with stringent regulations, protocols, and so forth. They are able to implement it properly, meaning I think there were no reports of such positive cases in their case, obviously confined in such small places, considering, right? And one of the advantages of implementing this, as mentioned, is they were able to create different concepts or ideas that they can institute for succeeding seasons or in the following season. So let's take a look at closer look here. So, and they're considering a permanent play-in tournament of sorts. So what happens here is, so if you're typically in each conference, they have 8 teams that goes into the playoffs. So what they decided was to incorporate a 9 teams to fight with the 8 seeded, to whoever wins that be the outright a playoff seed team. So it makes more compelling case, right? Especially the ones who's trying to be the last seed and so forth. And as you notice, in terms of games, especially an 82-game season, it's a very grueling season. Some players are not as interested, especially like LeBron James, having that load management concept. And for viewers, even for me, I try to see what are the updates. But at the end of the day, if we're talking of the All-Star game or playoffs, I'm tuned in, trying to see who's leading in the standings, who's going to be the eventual champion. And the playing tournament is enticing and it's compelling enough so that a lot millions of users are watching the games themselves. And not only that, so another concept that is going to be hopefully implemented in the near future is the games itself. So one of the advantages of creating a bubble inside the Florida, or I think it's in Orlando. Yeah, it's Orlando, and teams are in one place and they don't need to travel. So tires are refreshed or more fresher compared to if you're traveling from one city to another, especially on a back-to-back games, and which leads to another concept that they're going to introduce similar to how the baseball games is implemented, wherein if you play a team in a city, you stay there for how many games you're going to compete in. Let's say 2-3 games, so you stay there for the entire duration rather than what's happening right now in the NBA. Let's say you're competing with, let's say, the Clippers, then you go to Boston, then you finish, you come back, then you go back again on another period. The travel is taxing on players. That's why, especially on back-to-back games, obviously on the first game, everyone's still fresh, but the following game, because of the travel, late arrival in the city, you're tired. By the time you play, you're less energetic, so you're not able to compete as much. So it's always an advantage for the opposing team. Now, if they're able to incorporate this similar to how MLB does, I think it will be beneficial for all teams and better games, better products, so to speak, right? And especially, yeah, one more thing, shortening the season is one thing they're considering, right? Instead of 82, maybe 72 or even less. Obviously, there's financial ramifications that they need to consider, so we have to wait and see uh, how they deal with it and so forth. Now, it's something that I wanted to include also. Now, obviously, with the season at hand, it may be in peril with regards to the NBA. Now, for those who are not yet updated, the games have been halted right now. Okay, so with the question being, uh, what do we call this? Let me see. Yeah, with the racial issue that is been going on in the United States, there was a recent shooting of Mr. Jacob Blake, and I think it started when the team Milwaukee Bucks was supposed to play yesterday or the other day, I forgot, and they decided not to play because they want to stand or conduct a protest of sorts, and other teams were to follow. And obviously, this has major ramifications as a league, whether they want to continue with the playoff and how they want to pursue this. Now, obviously, on one hand, you want to fight, for social justice and so forth. On the other hand, as a business owner, especially team owners here, there's revenue at stake here. If no one plays here, no one's watching the games, you could be losing millions or even billions of dollars worth of revenue. So I think they're right now still in negotiations, or not desired negotiations, but they're still in talks as to how to go about with this situation. It's still new and fresh, and obviously players can do only so much in terms of influencing other peoples to fight for a cause and so forth. But at the end of the day, you know it's the owners who has the will and capability because of in terms of making an impact in terms of political and economic actions, right? So we have to wait and see what will happen here, and hopefully there will still be a season. If not, we'll just look forward for the next one. So next here is, if speaking of Uber, I know we don't have Uber here anymore, but in terms of in other countries, hill riding companies like Uber and Grab. Now, obviously, the key model that they're using there is, they hire people or individuals who has free time, who want to provide, taxi services at their own leisure, which is in parties. But in the state of California, they want to change that trend, and labor unions are fighting for the rights of those, the so-called gig economy, right? So making sure that those considered part-time or contractual employees be considered as a regular employee. And obviously, this has ramifications. So let's take a closer look. So according to the article here, right, So they're going to make a ballot or going to decide the fate of those gig workers, meaning should they be considered as an regular employee or as a part-time employee. Obviously, this model only works if both parties are benefiting. Now, obviously, the reason why the gig economy is so successful up to this point is the company like Lyft or even Grab or Uber are benefiting because they don't have to pay the not necessarily tax but the benefits, health benefits for those employees. And on the other side, if you're a hail riding individual, you get to dictate the terms in terms of when do you want to provide such services on your own free time using your own vehicles to provide to said services. So it's a win-win situation for everyone. But if legislator is dictating that those people providing services should be considered as regular employee, that would cause controversy, which what's it's happening right now. So whether people would decide this is benefiting the company or benefiting the employees, we'll see in the coming months as to what will happen here. Hopefully, everyone can work together and find a better solution. Otherwise, if this was to be, to shift the change in terms of the employee is considered a regular employee, then I don't think Lyft concept or Grab and Uber would be a viable platform anymore. Anyway, so continuing with entertainment, right? So who among us has been looking forward to watch a movie? Based on personal experience, I enjoy watching a lot of films. I think, who doesn't enjoy watching films, right? So it's been, I think, several months since the last time I watched a film. I think the last film I saw was, I think, Frozen 2 with my kids. And then the last film I saw was, sad to say, I think Star Wars, what do you call this? Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. So that was last December, right? So it was a long time. So considering where we are now, it's August going to September. It's been more than half a year since I went to a movie theater. I'm sure a lot of people are missing watching films, in theater houses and so forth. And guess what? Some movie theaters are trying to reopen. Not in our case, but in other regions. So in particular in the United States, they're planning to open. Actually, they have opened this week. Okay, in terms of movie theaters and offering different films. I don't know what film is being shown. There was supposed to be showing Mulan, but Disney being Disney, they instead shown their film in their streaming. I think I forgot. It's HBO, I think I forgot, or Disney. I forgot which streaming that they own. Anyway, so let's take a look here. Ay, wrong one. So you can see here, movie theaters are going to reopen, but one of the main concerns here is obviously we want entertainment, we want to be entertained, but the problem here is at what risk. So it's never safe to just simply go out, to do basic stuff, work, study, and so forth. But for entertainment purposes, people are very apprehensive now. On one hand, if you're a business owner in terms of you own several movie theaters, how can you generate revenue if no one's watching the film? But how can people go out in terms of safety? Can you guarantee the safety of each individual who's watching the film, that they are safe inside, similar how they are at home or in a hospital, something like that? And I don't think anyone can guarantee that, right? So obviously there's still people who's willing to go out and risk everything and still want to watch, enjoy a good film. But how about the rest? It would be a small segment, not a majority. But again, will it be enough to sustain the many businesses or movie theaters in this case? I think some of the known movie theaters, what was that? AMC is one. So there are many companies here. Yeah, actually, Cinema, Regal, Marcos Theaters, are planning to open because they have chains, lots of movie theaters that it's still shut down if they don't operate, they don't generate revenue, right? And one of their key plans that they're planning here is, to provide stricter measures, right? Which is okay. But how do you guarantee? Now they were mentioning that they're going to implement what they call this, ah, installing an air filtration system, so to minimize the transfer or the spread of the virus. But again, at the end of the day, can you guarantee the safety of the individuals? If it's not, then why even risk it, right? Similar to when you're riding an airplane, traveling abroad or somewhere else, right? So there's a risk involved, and is it worth it? You go to movie house to enjoy yourself, then get sick at the same time. So meaning you can sue them, right? Is that okay with them? But we have to wait and see, and people will still decide whatever happens, right? But in our case here, movies in our movie theaters in our location, in our cities, in our country are still closed. So I think that's good in some ways, but we do miss watching movies in public. Right. Continuing in terms of entertainment, so in terms of gaming, let's shift to gaming. So for those who are familiar with gaming, Batman games, I think the Arkham Asylum was the first one, the very first game that where they portray Batman in a very positive light, so to speak. Then they created several versions of the Batman games, and some next year they're planning to release a new version or a new type of Batman game wherein Batman is not included in the game. Now, wait a minute. So even though Batman is not included in the game, but you would be interested to see what's inside the game, who's going to be played there. Now, based on the article here, the name is going to be named Gotham Knights. So meaning there will be more than one people in the game. So let me see here. Yeah, it's this one. So Gotham Knights revealed a next-gen game Batman without Batman, as I mentioned. So what they introduced here, the premise here is Batman is dead, maybe. And then they're going to introduce 4 main characters that you can play. So it's a single-player experience, similar to previous Batman games. It's an open world game. So I look forward to seeing the actual game, the finished game. So they have 4 key main characters here. You have Batgirl, you have Red Hood, you also have Nightwing, and you have Robin. So all 4 characters are available for gameplay. Now, as I mentioned, apart from single play experience, there's also a co-op play. So which something, if you like playing with your friends, with your loved ones, then you can play together. So this is interesting. So let's take a closer look here. So this will be released sometime next year for all major consoles here. So I think one of the main antagonists here is the Court of Owls. And I think I saw a trailer. I saw there's going to be Penguin, I think. But in the video, there was Mr. Freeze. Yeah. So let's take a closer look here. So as mentioned, it would feature 4 main characters. Now, obviously, each character would provide different strengths and weaknesses in terms of their abilities to fight in terms of the game. So whether you're Batgirl, you have sticks, I think, that you could use. Same also with, what's the other one? Yeah, with Nightwing. And then Robin here is some type of feature. Yeah, here. So it mentions here that Batman's not alive anymore. So here's Jason Todd, who's Red Hood. I think you saw earlier was Batgirl. Oh yeah, here's Batgirl. Barbara Gordon. So let's skip to the next one. Yes. Next here we have Nightwing, as mentioned. So that's his choice of weapon. And I think the last, here last one we have Robin, the youngest of the 4 players. So, or not players, characters, sorry. So it's very, I'm really looking forward to seeing this play. So you see all 4 characters, each with their specialized weapon and skill. So you can try it out in the game sometime next year. So all four characters which you can play. Now, I want to show you something else. I want to show you the actual gameplay here. So, so it shows you in terms of their, yeah, let me show you actual game footage. So you can see here Batgirl with her, you know, with her riding. Then, so it's an open world type game as mentioned earlier. So it's similar to previous iterations of the Batman game, but it's more on RPG type, like they mentioned. So it's going to be interesting how they implement this. So let me see their fighting. So you can see here in terms of uh, fighting skills. I think they should incorporate similar how Spider-Man the game was implemented before, right? I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward to the different skins that you can incorporate into your suit. So as you play along, you get different abilities, and not only that, but you also different skins for your suit. So hopefully, they would able to implement that as well. So let's skip this part. Let's go to the. So again, it can be action oriented or it could be stealth based game here. So again, you can choose any of the four characters here. So this is for a change. Now, I am sure some of you are apprehensive. Should you play this game, a Batman game without Batman? But for a change here, you'll be able to play other characters, and who knows? Maybe at the end, there's an Easter egg here that Batman is still alive and is somewhere here. So we don't know. So we have to see how it pans out. And so this is the gameplay here. So let's skip this one. So let's go to the last part here. So here we have a boss battle with Mr. Freeze. So it's interesting enough. So obviously it's interesting to see who will be the other bosses in the game as well. So can't wait to see this, right? So there's a lot of good games being released this year, and even more so come the next generation of consoles come next year. So I'm really looking forward to this. Okay, so I think that's about it for the game. So can't wait to see this game. Okay, so continuing. Now for some updates. Now we've been talking a lot about TikTok and Apple. It's a never-ending saga, and so let me update everyone with regards to Apple. Now obviously last week we discussed Apple situation, with regards to banning Epic Games. They're now in court battling regarding, banning them was unfair, and now Apple is fighting back with regards to, taking hostage of the Unreal Engine, which is what Fortnite is based upon, and other publishers are now, enraging because this is unfair practice, and according to courts, you know they are fighting back. Okay, so let's start first with the issue of what do you call this? Other publishers are fighting back with regards to what happened to Epic Games. Now, obviously, what they're contesting is with regards to the 30% fee that Apple is charging here. So let's take a look here. So publishers are pushing back with regards to the over the App Store terms. Now, obviously, Apple has been adamant about maintaining the 30% fee for any transaction that is made. Now, fighting not only with Epic but also with Microsoft, Xbox Live, cloud service game, as well as Facebook, they're at arms. So if that were true, an issue was brought about, which was leaked document regarding how come Amazon's Prime application or Prime app was given exception. Instead of paying the 30% fee, they were only asked to pay, I think, 10 to 15%. Now, obviously, one can safely assume, obviously, Prime users or Prime viewers are in the top tens of millions of viewers. So, obviously, Amazon here can leverage their app or their position in terms of if Apple wants to have those millions of users shift and use their platform, give us a discount, something like that. Now, obviously, other developers, a smaller developer, can't provide such claim. So they're at the disadvantage. And again, it's at the end of the day, it's who can leverage which one. So is it fair? It's not. But at the end of the day, can other publishers now use this as a starting point that if you're going to give the exemptions, why not give us exemptions as well, right? Fair competition. That's why Apple is embroiled in this, Senate hearing that has happened before, and they have to explain, you're being monopolistic, you're not driving growth, you're not thinking of the consumer here, and they're saying they're all for that, but based on their action, it's contrary to that, right? And there's another, which you'll find out in a bit. Okay, so let me continue. And another thing, as I mentioned, so with their fight with Epic, with regards to the Unreal Engine, which is what Fortnite is based upon, it's not only Fortnite that's using that engine, other developers as well. So if Apple is going to hostage the Unreal Engine, meaning developers cannot update anymore the software, so it will be the end for many of them, right? That's why they went to court, and a judge was able to side with them that this is unfair practice. So obviously Fortnite would still be banned, but the Unreal Engine itself should be open to everyone for updating, and Apple should let them, which is good news, right? And if Apple really's intention is to, what do you call this, to protect the interests of the individuals, of the users, which is fine, then how come they have to apologize to a company, to WordPress in particular, they are forcing to, instead of being a free app, to be a paid app instead. Now, for those who are not familiar, WordPress is a website builder similar to how GoDaddy works and Wix.com works, okay? So they had to issue an apology here based on what they did was egregious. And they said it was an accident that happened, okay? And, forcing a company to monetize their app is one thing, right? If the company did it on their own, it's fine. But they should have the option, right? Anyway, so in this article, so Apple is no, not this one. It's an old article. Sorry. So Apple has to apologize to WordPress, as mentioned earlier, for forcing the app to be free and to make purchases, which goes to show that at the end of the day, it's the money, right? Because the apps that Apple is opening or letting other developers use, is they generate millions and billions of dollars, and it's a cash cow for them. So if people were not to buy on their platform, this would be detrimental to their bottom line. And what's ironic here is they have to apologize for it. They have to admit that they did do that, but all's in fair, right? And it just goes to show what their real agenda is. But I could be wrong. It's just my opinion. Anyway, continuing. So with regards to TikTok, now obviously, TikTok is at a deadline, right? In terms of whether they're going to be sold off, who's going to buy them. Is it Microsoft? Is it Oracle? Is it Twitter? Or is it someone else, right? But obviously, TikTok is trying to fight back in terms of the banning transactions that was implemented regarding their platform. So they're trying to challenge that now. It's one thing that they're required to sell off their assets or their servers, but in another case, in terms of their content, should they be able to continue, do their business is another. So as mentioned here, they're challenging that part. So they're trying to fight and stay within reason. So as mentioned here, they're given 90 days. So I don't know how long is that before, that expires. And not only that, TikTok is in hot waters as well, in a sense that, what are their choices with regards to the situation here? So obviously you may notice that, being pushed or put in a corner in terms of what can they do. Should they sell off? Do they have any alternative? What they did was they sued Donald Trump in terms of, they weren't given due process in terms of how to, protect their interests, right? Now, one thing to note, right? TikTok is owned by ByteDance, which is a Chinese company, which bought them for roughly around $1 billion way back in 2017. And right now, if TikTok was to be sold, their asset is worth in the north of 20 to 30 billion. So it's not chump change. So, only a few companies can really afford the company TikTok. So we have to wait and see. And, as the saying goes, right? In the continued saga of TikTok, or what will happen next, guess what happened? Their current CEO, who only stayed there for only a short 3 months, quit. With all the crisis, with all the pressure that's going on, is it even worth it, right? And the former CEO, Kevin Mayer, was the former streaming executive also of another company, Walt Disney. And so who would supplant him is the current US General Manager, Vanessa Papa. So she is going to deal with the current situation. So we have to wait and see what happens here. Continuing for some local news. So I'm sure everyone is already familiar with what's happening with ABS-CBN, right? Now they're one of the big telecommunications giant or broadcasting giants in the Philippines, and sad to say they've incurred a big loss, as much as 3 billion pesos, after the franchise rejection from our lovely government, right? Now obviously 3 billion is a lot of money, and will they be able to survive if you think about it? Now, obviously, ABS-CBN is not just known for the telecommunications. They have other interests and other streams of revenue. So never fear that, that they're going bankrupt or they're losing everything. So not everything is at a loss. So obviously, when you talk about the 3 billion loss is in terms of revenue generated from advertising. Now, obviously, what they plan to do is reduce their cost by retrenching several of their employees, right? Which is always bad news if you think about it. So if you're an employee at ABS-CBN and you're going to be retrenched, this is not never good news, right? Is there a better way to deal with this problem? But it is what it is. And obviously, some other companies that is related to, not companies, which is attached to the ABS-CBN company, Kidzonia, the play area for kids, will also be permanently closed starting by end of the month, which is reasonable because how can kids go out in this during this difficult time? Now, obviously, ABS is not going down under despite the rejection of their franchise. They still have other revenues in terms of international licensing. I think ITC is what they call it. I forgot what channel they have. Then they have distribution, so they still generate a lot of revenue from there. They have digital and cable businesses, and streaming services as well. So they'll be fine. They'll be down a few billion, but they're still earning billions of pesos either way. So all is not lost for ABS-CBN. Continuing, so for some people who are traversing our thoroughbreds here, especially if you're going through the North Expressway, South Expressway, all the main expressways here that has toll, changes are going to happen in the very near future. Actually, right now it's being implemented, so we have roughly about 3 months to shift, to be able to transition in terms of paying cashless toll fees now. So you will not be able to pay using cash payment anymore, which is reasonable enough because they want to avoid transmission of the virus, which pay cash, you have to pass the payment to the one in charge and so forth. So you might contract the virus and might spread it and so forth and so forth. But my concern here is, it will create a bottleneck in terms of they only gave us 3 months to implement this. Why not stagger this in a much longer period, 6 months to a year? Because if you're going to implement something new, especially a nationwide, change, it's going to take some time. And are people able to access? So let's say if you're going to buy an RFID, where are we supposed to buy it? Is it readily available in any 7-Eleven stores, something like that? Because if it's not readily available, then it's going to create bottlenecks, more difficulty for all consumers, all people who are traveling. And there should be always an option, right? But again, this was brought about because of the pandemic, right? And it was according to the Asian Development Bank's article that public transport played a central role in spreading the virus. Okay, so spreading the virus is key here, but the question here is, is the public transportation here the main issue here, or is it something else altogether? But going cashless in toll fees, in toll payments is something more practical rather than precautionary reasons here. I'm all for it to go cashless here, but we have to give some allowances for people to adjust and be to have access to how are they going to pay. If it's readily accessible for everyone, then there's no problem. I'm assuming people will have a difficult time, accessing cards in terms of how to pay this, and they have to change all of the systems, all of the booths to card reader itself. I think right now for each side, right, they only have one or two slots. I think so. If you're going to change that, so meaning you're going to shift everything all at the same time, or you should leave at least one for cash payment. So we have to wait and see. The never-ending saga of our government. And finally, so for those who are interested in terms of technology, you might be interested to know this. So if you like to listen to music, or let's say you like running outdoors and you like to listen to music at the same time, and you bring your headsets with you, you might be interested with this latest technology from LG. Okay, it's a wireless earbud, so it might seem, why should I be interested with this one? It has a added feature with, I think many of us would be interested to buy. Okay, it's a germ-killing wireless earbud. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. So it looks ordinary. So it looks like just any other wireless headphones. So you can see here. So you have the earbuds, you have the charging case, and so forth. So what makes this unique? It has a germ-killing action. Now you may notice, how can this be? It looks a regular wireless earbud, right? Well, listen. So there was this unboxing from Unbox Therapy. So I would highly suggest that you check out his channel for many unboxing. But let me show you a highlight of some of his presentation. So again, here's the earbud. So it looks normal here. Let's take a look here. Okay, so what he's presenting here, it's a bacteria swab here. So we're going to determine here if you're not going to look at your earbuds the same ever again. So he's going to measure in terms of how much bacteria is within your earbuds on regular use. And then by the time he uses the germ killing action from LG, and see if there's any changes. So, okay, so let's skip that part. Okay, so it's a typical wireless earbud, as I mentioned. So now, in order for you to be able to charge it effectively, you have to charge it, plug the cable within the carrying case itself. So it cannot be wireless charging. So let me see how you charge it. So let me skip that part. So the wireless experience is nice enough, I think, based on his comments there. So, yeah, there you go. So here it's already charging there. So if you put your earbuds there, then the effectivity here is it's going to have that germ killing action, so to speak. Now, he's going to test it now. I think, let me skip the part. Where is it? Is it this one? Yeah. So in this part, he's swabbing for bacteria here. So it's going to be interesting what the result will be here. So he's swabbing. Then later he's going to put it inside the scanner. Okay, let's see what was the result. So let's skip that part. Okay. So Luis here was so excited, so he was waiting for the 15 seconds. So let's take a look here. Yeah, so you can clearly see here it says 780. Now 700 is considerably high. You would want it somewhere less than 100. Okay, so now you know that it has bacteria. So meaning our ear is full of bacteria. Whether it's good or not, that's for another discussion. So let's skip that part. So let's see him putting it back. So he left it for a few minutes, I think 5 minutes or 10 minutes for its maximum effectivity. Then he tried to retest it. So let's skip that part. Okay. So you can see here, 10 seconds. So let's see here. Yeah, you can see here it's now 168. So it is effective in terms of its germ killing action. So I will leave in the link below if you want to watch the full video from Unbox Therapy. It's a very nice unboxing experience. And Lewis was very excited with regards of the countdown of the scanner. So in terms of the product, it's something that if you're very conscious of, spreading germs and so forth, don't share your earbuds again. Okay. And in this case, if LG is able to provide this, I think other companies should be able to incorporate this, in their earbuds, right? Samsung, Apple, calling you companies there. Okay. And I think that's it. Okay. So another session with all the technical difficulties we encountered today. Anyway, so if you have any questions or you want to check out any of the articles or topics we just discussed, I leave in the link in the description below so you can check it out. So always, don't forget to hit the notification bell icon so you can stay updated with the latest news as well as videos. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time. Same channel, same time, same channel. Take care.